Desai Liaquat Pact. DESAI, Desai Liaquat, LIAQAT, Liaquat Pact. So what was this Desai Liaquat Pact? So as we have discussed yesterday itself, after 1944, that is after the Second World War, the British has slowly decided to gradually give the power back to the Indians, right? So how that power has to be given back, how should be that power sharing between the Congress and the Muslim League was one of the issue at that time. So for that, so many negotiations took place, right? August offer was one such thing, and Shimla conference was one such thing, Cripps mission was one such thing, right? Wavell plan was one such thing, cabinet mission was one such thing. So similarly in that process, Desai Liaquat Pact is also one of such power sharing arrangement between Indian National Congress and Muslim League, right? So what they have discussed in this pact, in this Desai Liaquat Pact, they have discussed how should be the power sharing between the INC and the Muslim League, and also what are the safeguards that have to be given to the minorities. These two were discussed in this Desai Liaquat Pact. Now, who is this person called Desai? He is basically Bhulabhai Desai. Bhulabhai Desai. So this Bhulabhai Desai is one of the leaders of the Congress party. He is one of the leaders of the Congress party, and also he is a member in the Central Legislative Assembly. Right? He was also a member of Central Legislative Assembly. So this person has met Liaquat Khan. Liaquat Khan. Who is Liaquat Khan? He is the deputy leader of Muslim League. He is the deputy leader of Muslim League in the Legislative Assembly. Liaquat Khan is the deputy leader of Muslim League in that Legislative Assembly. So this Bhulabhai Desai and Liaquat Khan, they have come together to bring out a plan for power sharing between INC and Muslim League. So two major takeaways in this Bhulabhai Desai and Liaquat Khan pact is, first is they have decided that equal number of persons will be nominated by Congress and the Muslim League in the central legislature, right? First is regarding central legislature. So regarding central legislature seats, these two people have decided that equal number of persons will be nominated by Congress and the Muslim League in the central legislature. This is the first takeaway. And the second takeaway is they have also decided to reserve 20% seats for minorities. They have also decided to reserve 20% seats for minorities. Right? These were the two takeaways in this Bhulabhai Desai Liaquat Pact, also known as Desai Liaquat Pact. Right? This is one of the events which have negotiated for a power sharing agreement between INC and the Muslim League. Right? We have C. Rajgopalachari plan also. That is also related to power sharing agreement. Now, one thing which you guys have to do is try to remember these events in a chronological order. Right? So August offer happened in 1940. Cripps mission came in 1942. Wavell plan came in the year 1944. Cabinet mission came in the year 1946. Mountbatten plan came in the year 1947. Right? This is the chronology, guys. So in between, Rajgopalachari plan came in 1944, and this Desai Liaquat Pact also came around that time. Please find out in which year this has come. Right? So this is the event. So the chronology is important for us, right? So this is one such topic. And the next topic is about revolutionaries, right? Because if you see the present government's policies, it's focusing more on revolutionaries, right? Alluri Sitaramaraju, Pillai from Tamil Nadu. So we can see even in the speeches of our Prime Minister, more emphasis is being given on revolutionary leaders who have contributed for the Indian independence movement, right? So in that context, we need to focus on revolutionaries also, not only on moderates and extremists, but also revolutionaries in detail, right? So as we have discussed yesterday, there are two phases of revolutionaries in India. First phase started after Swadeshi movement, that is after 1908. till 1919. Second phase is after non-cooperation movement, right? That is after 1922-23. Then the second phase of revolutionary terrorism has started. In the second phase of revolutionaries, some important personalities are Bhagat Singh, Chandrasekhar Azad, right? So one of the significant event which took place in the second phase of revolutionaries is Saunders murder issue, right? Saunders. So who was this Saunders? So here there is a small story. As we all know, Simon Commission came in the year 1927, right? So for what reason did the Simon Commission come? It came for constitutional reforms, right? In the year 1919, British India government has passed Government of India 1919 Act to check whether that act is sufficient or not, or to suggest any reforms for the act. Simon Commission was appointed by the British. But we have opposed the Simon Commission because it is an all white men commission, right? There was no representation for Indians. So Indians have protested against the Simon Commission in various parts of the world, in various parts of the country, sorry. So in that process, one famous personality who fought against Simon Commission was Lala Lajpat Rai, right? Lala Lajpat Rai. And he was killed because of police action in this Simon Go Back Commission protests, right? In this Simon Go Back Commission protests, Lala Lajpat Rai was killed because of police lathi charge. Now, because of that, Bhagat Singh, Chandrasekhar Azad, and Rajguru. Bhagat Singh, Chandrasekhar Azad, and Rajguru. These three people have murdered Saunders. Why they have murdered Saunders? Because Saunders was the police official who was responsible for the lathi charge on Lala Lajpat Rai. This is the story behind this, guys. So for us, with respect to prelims, we need to remember that Bhagat Singh, Azad, and Rajguru, these three people have shot Saunders, right? These three people have shot Saunders. And similarly, we have another revolutionaries who killed the British officials. We all know 1919 Jallianwala Bagh massacre, right? This happened in Amritsar in Punjab, right? So the Governor General of Punjab, the governor of the Punjab at that time was Michael O'Dwyer, right? So this guy is different from General Dyer. General Dyer was the field official who took the action in that ground in the Jallianwala Bagh massacre. Now this person is Michael O'Dwyer. This person is the Lieutenant Governor for the Punjab, right? Both these Dyers were responsible for Jallianwala Bagh massacre, right? One Dyer was General Dyer, who is the field official. Second Dyer was Michael O'Dwyer, who is the Lieutenant Governor of Punjab. Because of these two were responsible for Jallianwala Bagh massacre. So that's why a revolutionary called Udham Singh, you might have heard about his name, Udham Singh. So this Udham Singh has assassinated Michael O'Dwyer, right? This Udham Singh has assassinated Michael O'Dwyer. This we have to know. And third such revolutionary is Madan Lal Dhingra. Third such revolutionary is Madan Lal Dhingra or Dhingra. But who is this Madan Lal Dhingra? He was also a revolutionary who killed an Indian office bureaucrat called Curzon Willey. Right? Madan Lal Dhingra was an Indian revolutionary who killed Curzon Willey in the year 1909. In the year 1909. So all these three are revolutionaries, guys. Please find out where are their localities, right? Where are they from? What are their areas of operation? Mostly the revolutionaries during the Indian independence movement, we can see in 2 to 3 regions. United Provinces, that is presently Uttar Pradesh region, right? Bengal and Dhaka, that is Bangladesh and Bengal region, and Maharashtra region. So here we used to see the revolutionary activities taking place more, right? So find out which people are from which areas. For example, V.D. Savarkar, he is also a revolutionary. V.D. Savarkar has started an organization called Abhinav Bharat, revolutionary organization. He's from Maharashtra region. He's from Maharashtra region, right? Aurobindo Ghosh is from Bengal region, right? Raj Bihari Bose is from United Province region. Bhagat Singh, all these people also operated in Punjab and United Provinces region, right? So this way we need to broadly know in what are their areas of operation and any significant events, right? So revolutionaries is an important topic, guys, for this year's prelims, right? That we can expect questions. And as we were discussing important Congress sessions, one such important session is 1920 Nagpur Congress session. 1920 Nagpur Congress session. Now, what happened in this 1920 Nagpur Congress session? If we remember, in 1921, non-cooperation movement started. So, in this 1920 Nagpur session, non-cooperation movement was endorsed by the Congress, right? So, endorsement, formal recognition for the non-cooperation movement took place in this 1920 Nagpur Congress session. Right? This is the first point we need to know. Second thing is, second takeaway from this 1920 Nagpur Congress session is, why is it so important is, in this session onwards, Congress has decided that not only constitutional methods, but also extra constitutional methods should be used for Swaraj. Right? If we see the history, what was the controversy between moderates and extremists? Moderates wanted to fight through constitutional methods, that is through pen, petition and prayer. Whereas extremists wanted to fight through a somewhat violent means, and revolutionaries complete violent means. Now Gandhiji has brought a middle path. What he said was, just by pure constitutional methods, it's not feasible to get Swaraj. Whereas we should not go to violence also. What we need to do is extra constitutional mass struggle, right? So this 1920 Nagpur Congress session, Congress has endorsed extra constitutional mass struggle. Extra constitutional mass struggle people's movements were given endorsement in this Nagpur session 1920. And the third thing is, decentralization also took place in this Nagpur session. How? Gandhiji has advised the Congress to form provincial Congress committees, right? Pradeshik Congress committees. Till then, we used to have only one Congress committee at the center. That's it. Now, what Gandhiji has done is, to bring more and more people into the nationalistic movements, we need decentralized units. So, for that, on the basis of linguistic, that is on the basis of language, Gandhiji has suggested for formation of Pradeshik Congress committees, right? Provincial Congress committees. What are these? These are committees that are formed on the basis of language. So Madras province used to have one committee. Maharashtra, Bombay province used to have one committee, right? In this way, decentralized units were made for the first time. And also, membership fee for the Congress was reduced. Membership fee for the Congress was reduced because if we see the trend, till the arrival of Gandhiji, moderates were not that much into mass movements, right? Moderates were mostly elite, well-educated people. So they used to fight only in those methods. Whereas Gandhiji's plan of action is basically mass movement, including as many mass people as possible, right? For that, the membership fee was also reduced in this 1920 Nagpur Congress session. So this is an important Congress session because you might have studied in Indian society also about regionalism, right? So the foundation stone for that regionalism has started here with this provincial Congress committees based on linguistic lines, right? This has consolidated the states based on language. Because of this Pradeshik Congress committees based on linguistic lines, people also have arranged themselves or organized themselves into different states. Telugu speaking state, Tamil speaking state, right? This kind of state demands, the foundation is in this 1920 Nagpur Congress session. So these are some important takeaways from 1920 Nagpur Congress session, right? And the next thing is 1942 Quit India movement. 1942 Quit India movement. Now, what was the famous slogan that was given by Gandhiji in this Quit India movement? Do or die. And from where did Mahatma Gandhi give the call for Quit India movement? It's from Bombay. And is it any session? Is it the annual session of Congress in which Mahatma Gandhi gave this call? No, it was not an annual Congress session, right? So in 1942 in Mumbai, Gandhiji gave the call for Quit India movement, do or die. Now, as a part of this Quit India movement, as soon as this was declared by Gandhiji, he was arrested, right? So this was basically a leaderless movement, yet a successful movement, because we have seen different people contributing to this Quit India movement. One such area is in different regions of India, people started forming parallel governments to British governments, right? So at that time, who were ruling us? Britishers were ruling us. So British government was there. But in some parts of India, the people themselves have formed governments, parallel governments. So this was also a part of struggle against the British as a part of Quit India movement, right? So three important parallel governments were formed in the 1942 year as a part of Quit India movement. So one such important parallel government is in the place called Ballia, Ballia, Ballia in UP, right? So in a place called Ballia in UP, a parallel government was formed by a person called Chittu Pandey. By a person called Chittu Pandey, CHITTU, Chittu Pandey. So Chittu Pandey formed a parallel government in a place called Ballia in Uttar Pradesh. So this is one of the parallel government that was formed as a part of Quit India movement, right? So these we have to know. So parallel governments were formed in non-cooperation movement or civil disobedience movement or Quit India movement, right? Questions will be of this kind. So parallel governments were formed in Quit India movement, not in non-cooperation or not civil disobedience movement. And also a secret radio network was operated during this Quit India movement, right? Her name is Usha Mehta. Her name is Usha Mehta. So Usha Mehta was the person who has run secret Congress radio during the Quit India movement, right? Why secret? Because openly the political leaders were being arrested by the British. So that's why they were operating in a secret way, right? So Usha Mehta, Congress radio, Quit India movement, 1942. Chittu Pandey, Ballia, UP, parallel government, Quit India movement, 1942, right? So these are some things which we have to remember. And the next topic is Frontier Gandhi. You might have heard about Frontier Gandhi also, Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan, right? The name of the person is Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan. So this person called Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan is himself a Gandhian follower, right? He is himself a Gandhian follower. That's why people used to call him Frontier Gandhi. That's why people used to call him Frontier Gandhi. Now, why was he called Frontier Gandhi? Because his area of operation was in Northwest Frontier Province. At that time, we used to have provinces and princely states, right? Bombay was one province, Madras was one province, United Provinces was one, right? So similarly, we used to have Northwest Frontier Province in the northwestern part of India. So this Northwest Frontier Province was the area of operation of this person called Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan. So he was known as Frontier Gandhi because he was the follower of Gandhi. Now, why was he famous, or what is his significant contribution? He contributed to the 1930 civil disobedience movement, right? He contributed to the 1930 civil disobedience movement. How did he contribute? He contributed by forming an organization called Khudai Khidmatgars. Right? The organization that was formed under the leadership of Frontier Gandhi is Khudai, Khudai, Khudai Khidmatgars, Khidmatgars, right? So Khudai Khidmatgars was the organization that was formed by Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan, and they were also known as Red Shirts. right? They were also known as red shirts. And they have played an active role in 1930 civil disobedience movement. They have played an active role in 1930 civil disobedience movement. So this is about Frontier Gandhi and his significant contribution to 1930 civil disobedience movement, right? And later, during the independence or during the Mountbatten Plan, referendum was conducted and this Northwest Frontier province was made a part of Pakistan. So referendum was conducted when we were getting independence and this Northwest Frontier province was made a part of Pakistan. And these are some things which we have to know about Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan. And Annie Besant, we have discussed yesterday itself. What is the speciality of Annie Besant? She was a member of Theosophical Society. Right? She was a member of Theosophical Society and she is the first woman Congress president. Right? She was the first woman Congress president. In which session? In the 1917 session. Right? So first woman to become Congress president was Annie Besant. Whereas first Indian woman to become the Congress president was Sarojini Naidu. Right? This difference, we should not make the mistake, guys. Right? We have to be clear here. And why was she given the Congress presidency in 1917 is, if you remember, Annie Besant was responsible for Home Rule movement in the year 1916. Right? So Home Rule movement. What was this Home Rule movement? Home Rule movement was also one such movement for Swaraj. However, it is unique in the sense this Home Rule movement tried to educate the masses. It tried to create awareness in the masses by educating them about the economic exploitation of the British and also about political freedoms. Right? So that's why this Home Rule movement is unique. Now this Home Rule movement was initiated in the country by two famous people. One is Annie Besant and the second personality is Bal Gangadhar Tilak. Right? Bal Gangadhar Tilak. So these two people have started Home Rule movements. Whereas the areas of operation are different. Right? The areas of operation are different for Bal Gangadhar Tilak and Annie Besant. So both these are responsible for Home Rule movement. Now, because of the Home Rule movement, she was even arrested in the year 1916. That has created a huge issue throughout the India. So she became a public figure, right? A public personality because of Home Rule movement and she getting arrested. So because of these reasons, she was made the Congress woman president in the year 1917. Right? So because of this, she was made the Congress woman president in the 1917 because of her significant contributions to the Home Rule movement for Swaraj. So this is about Annie Besant, guys, some points. And she is the follower of Theosophical movement. Right? She is not the founder of Theosophical movement. Founder of Theosophical movement is Blavatsky and Henry Olcott. These two are the founders of Theosophical movement. She is follower of Theosophical movement. These are the areas where they'll try to confuse us. Right? And Sarojini Naidu, as we know, first Indian woman president for the Congress session. Which session? 1925 Kanpur session. 1925 Kanpur session. Right? So this is about women Congress presidents, guys. And which among the following leaders was hailed by Gandhi as his conscience keeper? So Gandhiji has hailed someone as his conscience keeper. Who is that leader? So that leader is basically C. Rajagopalachari. That leader is Chakravarti Rajagopalachari. So there is also another famous personality whom Gandhiji has called his guru. Who was he? Gopal Krishna Gokhale. So Gandhiji has called Gopal Krishna Gokhale as his guru. And he has termed Chakravarti Rajagopalachari as his conscience keeper. As his conscience keeper. So these we have to be careful, right? So Guru, Gandhiji's guru was Gopal Krishna Gokhale. Gandhiji's conscience keeper was Chakravarti Rajagopalachari. Conscience keeper means one who carries the legacy of Gandhian values. if we see C. Rajagopalachari, Chakravarti Rajagopalachari, after independence, in the formation of India as a modern state, Rajagopalachari has tried to imbibe Gandhian values, right? Rajagopalachari has tried to imbibe or introduce Gandhian values in the formation of India as a modern state, in the policies. So that's why Gandhiji termed him as conscience keeper. And another important fact about C. Rajagopalachari is he is the last Governor General of India. Right? C. Rajagopalachari is the only Indian and the last Governor General of India. Now, then if he is the last Governor General of India, then what about Mountbatten? So here a small difference is Lord Mountbatten is last Viceroy of British India. Right? He is the last Viceroy of British India. Whereas C. Rajagopalachari is the last Governor General of Dominion of India. He is the last Governor General of Dominion of India. So after 1947, India became independent, right? But after 1947, India still did not become a republic. When did it become a republic? In 1950, on the Republic Day. So between 1947 and 1950, India was a dominion. India was not a republic. The difference between dominion and republic is republic has a head of the state. Who is the head of the state? It is the president. So from 1950 onwards, we had the president of India. Till 1950, we didn't have presidents. We had viceroys. After 1947, we had governor generals again. And C. Rajagopalachari was the one such governor general for India. The last Governor General of India, right? And this post called Governor General was removed after 1950. Why was it removed? Because from 1950 onwards, we had President of India, right? This is small information, guys, for you. And now one area where the UPSC can ask is, who is the first Governor of Bengal? It is Robert Clive, right? First Governor of Bengal is Robert Clive. First Governor General of Bengal is Warren Hastings. First Governor General of Bengal is Warren Hastings in the year 1773. In the year 1773, Warren Hastings became the first Governor General of Bengal. Now, who is the first Governor General of India? The first Governor General of India is William Bentinck. The first Governor General of India is William Bentinck. He became the first Governor General of India in the year 1833. In the year 1833. Now, who is the first Viceroy of India? It is Lord Canning. The first Viceroy of India is Lord Canning in the year 1858. Right? So, Lord Canning, first Viceroy. And who is the last Viceroy of India? Lord Mountbatten, right? Lord Mountbatten. And who is the last Governor General of Dominion of India? It is C. Rajagopalachari. All these revolve around Governor Generals only. But someone is the first Governor General for Bengal, someone is the first Governor General for British India, someone is the first Viceroy of British India, someone is the last Viceroy of British India, and someone is the last Governor General for Dominion of India. So for different posts, we have different people. If someone says Warren Hastings is the first Governor General of India, that is wrong. He was the first Governor General of Bengal. William Bentinck is the first Governor General of India. So these minor differences, please be careful, guys. As I have told you the list, just revise it. It will be useful for you, right? And one of a commission is Linlithgow Commission. Linlithgow, Linlithgow, Linlithgow Commission. So this Linlithgow Commission is related to agricultural reforms. Agricultural reforms. So this Linlithgow Commission is related to agricultural reforms. And another famous personality in Congress is Acharya Kripalani. Acharya Kripalani. He is a socialist, guys. He is a socialist. He has formed a party called Kisan Mazdoor Praja Party. Kisan Mazdoor Praja Party. Right? Later it got converted into Praja Socialist Party. Right? He formed the Kisan Mazdoor Praja Party. Later it got converted into Praja Socialist Party. Right? And he also was the president for INC session 1947. Right? So 1947 is also an important year for us. So who was the president for the INC Congress session in 1947? It was Acharya Kripalani. Now who was the president for 1931 Karachi session? We have discussed yesterday. It is Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. What was the only session in which Mahatma Gandhi has presided? 1924 Belgaum Congress session. Right? First woman, Annie Besant. First Indian woman, Sarojini Naidu. Right? And 1920 Congress session, Nagpur session. Just find out who was the president for that session. 1929 Lahore session, where first time we have decided for Purna Swaraj. Who was the president for the session? That is also a famous personality. Please find out. Right? So Congress sessions, when did they happen? What are the major events? Who was the president? These are important, guys. So Acharya Kripalani is also one such famous personality. And the next thing is Independence for India League. There is a league called Independence for India League. This was formed by two famous personalities called Jawaharlal Nehru and Subhash Chandra Bose. Jawaharlal Nehru and Subhash Chandra Bose. So these two were young leaders at that time who were inclined towards socialism. Right? Jawaharlal Nehru and Subhash Chandra Bose. Both of these were youth icons at that time. They were youth icons, youth leaders who were inclined towards socialism. Now, a short story behind this Independence for India League is, as we know, Simon Commission came in the year 1927. Right? Why did it come? To revise the Government of India Act 1919. Right? For constitutional reforms, Simon Commission came. Then what did Indians do? They have done Simon Go Back Commission protests. Right? Then a man called Lord Birkenhead. Lord Birkenhead, he has insulted Indians that they cannot make a constitution on their own. Right? What he said was, you guys cannot make constitution on your own and you're asking Simon Commission to go back, then how will you have a commission? Then to prove that Lord Birkenhead is wrong, Motilal Nehru at that time has formed a all-party conference in the year 1928. In the year 1928, Motilal Nehru has formed an all-party conference and decided that we Indians have to make the constitution on our own. Right? No need of Simon Commission. And then the result was Nehru Report. The result was Nehru Report in the year 1928. So the Nehru Report in 1928 was an attempt by Indians to make the constitution. It was drafted by Motilal Nehru, not Jawaharlal Nehru. Right? It was drafted by Motilal Nehru in the year 1928. Now, as a part of that, many important provisions are there. One of the important principle or provision in that Nehru report is dominion status demand for India. Right? Dominion status demand for India. So that was mentioned in the Nehru report of 1928. Now, Jawaharlal Nehru and Subhash Chandra Bose, they were not happy with dominion status. They demanded for complete Swaraj, Purna Swaraj. Right? They don't want dominion status. As we have discussed just now, the difference between dominion and republic is, dominion is we will be having the self-rule, but the king of British will be the overall head for our country. Whereas in the republic, President of India will be the head of the state. Right? So this is the difference between dominion and republic. So dominion status, Jawaharlal Nehru and Subhash Chandra Bose were not happy. That's why they have rejected the Nehru report and they have formed Independence for India League. right? They have formed Independence for India League. So this is the story behind Independence for India League, guys. And planning commission, which we study in economics, right? The foundation for that planning commission is in National Planning Committee. National Planning Committee, which was formed in the year 1938. So National Planning Committee was formed in the year 1938 under Congress President Subhash Chandra Bose, right? So Subhash Chandra Bose and Jawaharlal Nehru both were followers of socialism. They were inclined towards socialism. So they were also inclined towards Russian policies. At that time, Russia was the country, USSR was the country which was doing this planning, 5 years of planning, 5-year plans. That was the concept of USSR. So as Subhash Chandra Bose is also a follower of socialism, he was influenced by the success of planning in USSR, and he introduced this National Planning Committee in the year 1938, right? And 1938 Haripuri Congress session. Who was the president? Subhash Chandra Bose. 1939 Tripuri Congress session. Who was the president? Subhash Chandra Bose. We have discussed this yesterday, right? So these are some facts about Subhash Chandra Bose, guys. And the next topic is Champaran Satyagraha. Champaran Satyagraha. Now this is important because we can connect this to current affairs also. Last year, the places related to Champaran Satyagraha, they were made a part of Gandhian circuit in the Swadesh Darshan scheme. Please connect this to Swadesh Darshan scheme, guys. We have discussed what is Swadesh Darshan scheme, right? Swadesh Darshan scheme is being implemented by Ministry of Tourism. What does it do? It develops tourism based thematic circuits, right? It tries to connect all the places that are related to Gandhi. That is Gandhian circuit. Similarly, we have Buddhism circuit, Ramayan circuit. Similarly, we have 13 circuits. So one such circuit is Gandhian circuit. And in this Gandhian circuit, we have recently added some places related to Champaran Satyagraha, right? So that's why this is important for us, this event called Champaran Satyagraha. So Champaran Satyagraha is basically the first civil disobedience movement by Mahatma Gandhi in India, right? The first civil disobedience movement. Gandhi ji has tried civil disobedience movement for the first time in India as a part of Champaran Satyagraha, right? So what is this Champaran Satyagraha? This is about the problems of indigo planters in a place called Champaran in the state Bihar, right? So Champaran Satyagraha, where did this took place? In Bihar, in a place called Champaran. What is the issue here? Indigo farmers, they are being forced to grow 3/20th of their land with indigo, right? They are forced to grow indigo. That was the issue there. So this system was called Teen Katia system, right? Teen Katia system, TINKATHIA, Teen Katia system. So this Teen Katia system was a major issue for the farmers or the peasants in the state of Bihar, in Champaran. Now, who brought this Champaran farmers issue to the notice of Mahatma Gandhi? It was Raj Kumar Shukla. A person called Raj Kumar Shukla has brought to the notice of Mahatma Gandhi the issues of Champaran farmers, indigo planters. And then Mahatma Gandhi ji has started this Champaran Satyagraha, right? This is for the first time Gandhi ji tried civil disobedience movement in India, right? So the technique of civil disobedience movement was used for the first time by the Gandhi ji in Champaran Satyagraha. And the technique of non-cooperation movement was used by Mahatma Gandhi ji for the first time in Kheda Satyagraha, right? Kheda Satyagraha, right? So the first time civil disobedience movement technique was used in Champaran Satyagraha. The first time non-cooperation movement technique was used by Gandhiji in Kheda Satyagraha. right? Kheda Satyagraha. And for the first time, hunger strike technique was used by Gandhiji in Ahmedabad mill strike. Right? For the first time, hunger strike was done by Gandhiji in Ahmedabad mill strike. These three events were the initial events that were done by Gandhiji in India after returning from South Africa. Right? After returning from South Africa, Champaran Satyagraha, Kheda Satyagraha, Ahmedabad mill worker strike. These three were the events that were done by Gandhiji in India. After these only, he got the image of a mass leader, right? People's representative. So these three are important for us, right? Champaran, civil disobedience movement. Kheda, non-cooperation movement. And Ahmedabad mill worker strike, hunger strike. These facts are important, guys. We can expect questions here. And as a part of revolutionaries, we also have women revolutionaries in India, right? Women revolutionaries. So one such revolutionary team was under Surya Sen, right? In the Bengal region, in the Dhaka region, right? Before partition, it was in the part of Bengal region. After partition, it became Dhaka region. Now it is Bangladesh, guys. So in the present day Bangladesh, we used to have a revolutionary group that was fighting against Britishers under the leadership of a person called Surya Sen, right? Surya Sen. Chittagong Armory Raid. You might have heard about this, right? Chittagong Armory Raid. This happened in 1930, guys. So under the leadership of Surya Sen. Surya Sen was basically a teacher. He was called as Master Da, M-A-S-T-E-R, Master Da, D-A. So the Surya Sen, also known as Master Da, was a teacher who started a revolution against the Britishers, right? So as a part of that, he has raided the police stations of Britishers. That raiding is called Chittagong Armory Raid, which happened in 1930. There is a beautiful movie also about this event called Chittagong, right? There is a movie also. If you have time, watch it in your leisure time. That's a very good movie. So in that, we have two women revolutionaries. One is Kalpana Dutt. One is Kalpana Dutt. And the second one is Preeti Lata Waddedar. One is Kalpana Dutt. And the second is Preeti Lata Waddedar. These two were also fighting along with Surya Sen in the Dhaka region against the Britishers, right? These were also the part of Chittagong Armory Raid. This is a major event, guys. So we need to know this. This happened in 1930, right? So this is also an event. And 1919 Government of India Act, we have discussed yesterday itself, right? So it's easy if we compare 1919 Act and 1935 Act, right? So bicameralism was introduced at the center in which act? In 1919 Act, right? So in 1919 Act, bicameralism was introduced. As a result, we had two houses at the center. One is Council of State, right? One is Council of State, which we are calling Rajya Sabha now. And the second is Legislative Assembly, which we are calling lower house or Lok Sabha now. So in this way, two houses were created at the center in the Government of India Act 1919, right? And bicameralism was introduced at the province level in Government of India Act 1935. In the Government of India Act 1935. And diarchy was introduced at the provinces in Government of India Act 1919. Whereas diarchy was introduced at the center in Government of India Act 1935, right? Reserved list, transferred list was introduced at the provinces in 1919 Government of India Act, right? Whereas complete provincial autonomy was given to the provinces in 1935 Government of India Act. And 1919 Government of India Act is called Montagu-Chelmsford Reforms, right? And 1909 Act is called Morley-Minto Reforms. Morley-Minto Reforms means 1909 Act. 1919 Act means Montagu-Chelmsford Reforms, right? So these are some points about 1919 Government of India Act, guys. And another important term in modern India is Cunningham Circular. Cunningham Circular. Cunningham, C-U-N-N-I-N-G-H-A-M. Cunningham Circular. What is this Cunningham Circular? So this Cunningham Circular was passed by British government in Assam. When was it passed? It was passed during civil disobedience movement. And it was passed during civil disobedience movement, because during civil disobedience movement, Mahatma Gandhi gave a call for everyone to go against the British rule, right? To go against the British rule, to break the law, to break the British laws. That's what was suggested by Gandhiji in civil disobedience movement. Whereas in non-cooperation movement, Mahatma Gandhi asked everyone not to cooperate with the British. He asked the lawyers to stop working, right? He asked the soldiers also to come back, right? What he has asked for is, he has asked for all those who are serving the British as officers not to cooperate with them. And he even has asked people also not to cooperate with the British. That was done in non-cooperation movement. Whereas in civil disobedience movement, he has asked the people to break the laws, right? He has asked the people to break the British laws. So when this was being done, British government wanted to control the students in Assam. That's why they have released this Cunningham Circular. What they have mentioned in this Cunningham Circular is, any students in Assam, if they participate in the civil disobedience movement, then strong action will be taken against the students and their families, right? Strong action will be taken against the students and also against their families. So this was mentioned in Cunningham Circular. Who has passed it? British government has passed it. Where was it passed? In Assam. When was it passed? During civil disobedience movement. Right? This is also an important event in modern India history, guys. Cunningham Circular. Right? And the next topic is Komagatu Maru incident. Komagatu Maru ship incident. What is this Komagatu Maru ship incident? So basically this Komagatu Maru is a Japanese ship, right? This Komagatu Maru is a Japanese ship. So this Japanese ship was taken by the Indians to go to Canada, right? This Japanese vessel was taken by the Indians to reach Canada, right? To migrate to Canada. But what happened? The Canada government has stopped the ship and asked it to return back, right? It has asked the ship to return back to Calcutta, right? The people in the ship were denied entry into the Canada and they were forced to go to Calcutta. This is Komagatu Maru ship incident. Now, because of this, because of the long journey, they were running out of food and other supplies. So then the people of India, the local Indian community, has made a committee called Shore Committee, right? The local Indian community has made a Shore Committee. This committee was made to assist, that is to help the passengers of Komagatu Maru ship, right, for food and other provisions. So here 2 points we have to know. One is Komagatu Maru ship incident. When did this happen? This happened in 1914. What is this issue? Indians took Japanese vessel or ship to go to Canada. They were denied entry into Canada and they were forced to go to Calcutta. And Shore Committee. What is this Shore Committee? Local Indian community has made this Shore Committee to help the passengers of Komagatu Maru ship. Right? This happened in 1914. Now, why they were denied entry? There is a small story here, because at that time we had Gaddar Party, right? Gaddar Party, which was actively operating in United States and Canada, right? San Francisco, United States and Canada. So because they thought Gaddar Party people are there in this ship, that's when the ship was denied entry into Canada. Right? That's why the ship was denied entry into the Canada. But all these events, guys, it's better if we revise, right? If there are questions, we can easily answer them. And I also suggest you to refer Spectrum, right? two complete revisions of spectrum will make you very strong in modern India, right? Any question you will be able to answer, right? If you see the previous papers also, none of the question was beyond spectrum as far as modern India is related to, right? So it's better if we revise it 2 times, and I'll be covering almost all the important topics, guys, which will be useful for you in eliminating options. So the next topic is social reforms in the independence movement, right? Not only political reforms or political freedom, we had famous personalities like Raja Ram Mohan Roy, Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar, M.G. Ranade, right? All these were fighting for Keshav Chandra Sen, Debendranath Tagore. So all these were fighting for social reforms, that is for women upliftment and upliftment of the downtrodden castes, right? So in this direction also social reforms have taken place, right? So there is a topic related to social reforms in spectrum, simple and straightforward chapter, right? Refer it and you will get the almost entire information. One of the important topic in the social reforms is Indian Social Conference, right? Indian Social Conference. This is the name of an organization. This Indian Social Conference organization was started by a person called M.G. Ranade. M.G. Ranade. So M.G. Ranade has started this Indian Social Conference. This is also known as the Social Reform Cell of Indian National Congress, right? This is also known as the Social Reform Cell of Indian National Congress, right? This is also known as Social Reform Cell of Indian National Congress. Now, this organization is famous for pledge movement. Pledge movement. What is this pledge movement? They have inspired people to take a pledge against child marriage, right? They have inspired people to take a pledge against child marriage. And when was this organization formed? In the year 1887. The organization was formed in the year 1887. So these are some points regarding Indian Social Conference, right? Indian Social Conference, social reform organization started by M.G. Ranade in the year 1887, also called as Social Reform Cell of Indian National Congress, right? You see the trend of Indian National Congress working. Initially, they were not interested in taking up social reforms, right? If you read Bipin Chandra or even Spectrum also, it's clearly written there that Indian National Congress initially did not touch upon the social reforms aspect, right? There are various reasons why the Congress did not touch the social reforms, right? It was focusing only on political freedom and political reforms. That's why this Indian Social Conference is called Social Reform Cell of Indian National Congress, right? In the year 1887. So we'll stop it here for today. We'll continue the topics tomorrow. And if you see today's newspaper, guys, there are some interesting topics. First is Disaster Management Act 2005. Disaster Management Act 2005. This act is important because for the first time, Ministry of Home Affairs has used this act to go for lockdown and unlock, right? All the guidelines which we are seeing now, the lockdown 2.0, lockdown 3.0, unlock 4.0, which is presently. So all these guidelines are given by Ministry of Home Affairs under using this Disaster Management Act. So for the first time, to tackle a situation like COVID, Ministry of Home Affairs has used this act, right? So we need to know this, and also we need to know important provisions about Disaster Management Act in detail. What are the different authorities? National Disaster Management Authority, National Executive Council, National Disaster Response Fund, National Disaster Response Force, State Disaster Response Fund, right? District level we have DDMA, District Disaster Management Authority, State Disaster Management Authority. Who prepares the disaster management plan? All these aspects try to get about the Disaster Management Act 2005. This is one important topic. Second topic is RBI report in today's paper. RBI report again said that even in the second quarter also we will be seeing the economic slowdown. Even in the second quarter of 2020 also we'll be seeing the economic slowdown. and it has put the blame on two important reasons. One is private consumption, second is government consumption. So RBI said that unless and until private consumption and government consumption increase, economic slowdown will continue. So if we try to connect this to different components of GDP, what were the different components of GDP? One is private consumption, C plus I, investment, plus G, government expenditure, plus X is exports, minus I is imports, right? So C plus I plus G plus X minus I. Sorry, M is for imports. So these are the different components of GDP. So RBI is trying to focus on C, that is consumption, and G, that is government expenditure. So only when these two increase, we can see India coming out of economic slowdown. That's what RBI report says in today's paper. And there was an interesting editorial article about distributive justice. Distributive justice. After reading that article, make sure you know the definition of distributive justice. What is distributive justice? Because last year prelims we have seen a question on social capital. Right? They have asked what is social capital and 4 options were given. So similarly, distributive justice is also one potential question, right? So just try to find out the definition of distributive justice. And there was another article about sustainable development in Kerala. If we see the Kerala model of development, no doubt it is the topmost state as far as human capital and human development is considered, right? Literacy rate is exceptionally good in Kerala state, and also health indicators are also exceptionally good in Kerala state. So human capital is very much rich in Kerala. Then what about the natural capital, right? We are seeing floods and landslides increasing in the state of Kerala, right? 2018 we had devastating Kerala floods, right? And also recently also we can see landslides frequency is increasing in Kerala. This is because of lack of sustainable development, right? So about that an article is given. Now for prelims, 2 to 3 important points are important for us. So first is, what are tabletop runways, right? What is a tabletop runway? Please find about that. What is tabletop runway and what is the definition of natural capital? We have already covered this in crash course, right? What is the definition of natural capital? Please revise that. And the next thing is, there are some committees. There are some committees related to conservation of Western Ghats. One is Madhav Gadgil committee, right? One committee is Madhav Gadgil committee. The second committee is Kasturi Rangan committee. The second committee is Kasturi Rangan committee. So these two committees also discussed about declaring Western Ghats as eco-sensitive regions, prohibiting economic activities in the Western Ghats. So these two committees are related to that. Please refer in Google for more details on these committees. And there was another article which mentioned almost all the West Asian crisis and African crisis, all the crisis in West Asian countries and African countries, right? It mentioned about Syrian crisis, it mentioned about Libyan crisis, it mentioned about Turkey-Syria border issue, right? Turkey-Syria border issue, Kurdish problem, Afghan crisis, West African countries, Mali, Burkina Faso, what are the crises that is going on in those? So all these are important for us with respect to 2 dimensions. One is international relation prelims question. Second thing is geography through maps. So all these crises which the newspaper has mentioned today in one of the editorial article, those places are important for us, right? So in Libya, a place called Tripoli is there. So we need to know Tripoli is a place in Libya, right? Similarly, all these crises in West Asia and Africa, find out important places which were in the news in the last 1 year, right? They can ask this place is there in which country. They have already asked this, right? So this is one area. And Hagia Sophia. Hagia Sophia. So this Hagia Sophia is basically a UNESCO World Heritage Site in Turkey. Hagia Sophia. Recently this was converted into a mosque, right? So this Hagia Sophia is a UNESCO World Heritage Site located in Turkey. And there was another editorial article about
magnets for manufacturing. Magnets for manufacturing. In that editorial article, they have mentioned the contribution of manufacturing to India's GDP. Right? The target which the government has kept is to make manufacturing contribute at least 25% to the GDP by 2022. But we still didn't reach 25%. Find out how much is the manufacturing sector's contribution to GDP. It is around 22 to 23%, right? All this data you will be getting in the economic survey. Please refer to the statistics, because the statistics can be a straightforward question, right? Factual questions. And yeah, there is a dam in the news called Mulla Periyar Dam. Mulla Periyar Dam, right? In today's Hindu newspaper. So this Mulla Periyar Dam is an issue between Kerala and Tamil Nadu. Why? This Mulla Periyar Dam is located in Kerala, but it is operated and maintained by Tamil Nadu, right? So this Mulla Periyar Dam is located in Kerala, but it is maintained by Tamil Nadu. So that's why this is a controversy between Kerala and Tamil Nadu. And this dam is in the news because this was responsible for 2018 Kerala floods, right? This was one of the main reasons for 2018 Kerala floods. Again, because of the monsoons, the level has come till the brim in this Mulla Periyar Dam. So just find out on which river is this dam there. This is there on Periyar River. This Periyar River is the longest river of Kerala. It's also called the lifeline of Kerala, right? And this dam is used to transport water to Tamil Nadu, right? Tamil Nadu regions are on the leeward side. Connect this to geography also, right? Windward side and leeward side. Windward side will be receiving monsoon. Leeward side is completely dry, right? So Mulla Periyar Dam gates are opened to transfer this Periyar water to the leeward side regions of Tamil Nadu, right? So this is Mulla Periyar Dam. Srisailam Dam was also in the news, right? Srisailam Dam was on which river? Krishna River, right? That you have to know. And National Clean Air Program, that was also in the news today. National Green Tribunal has asked about this National Clean Air Program to the Ministry of Environment, citing Article 21. So just refer that article also. And another interesting term which was mentioned by China was BRICS Innovation Base. BRICS Innovation Base. So what is this BRICS Innovation Base? China is inviting all the BRICS countries, that is Brazil, Russia, India, China and South Africa. China is inviting all the BRICS countries to be a part of this 5G and artificial intelligence initiative. So this BRICS Innovation Base is basically China's call for the BRICS countries to be a part of 5G and artificial intelligence. Now this is something contrast to India's policy. India is trying to eliminate Chinese companies in the 5G allocation. But China is inviting India to be a part of a 5G initiative, right? So this is also important for us. So this BRICS Innovation Base, what is it? And SCO Summit is going to happen in a few days, right? SCO Summit.